Alpha One Drop Zone presents Honoring Our Veterans, a series of interviewing our military veterans. Our purpose is to reconnect our country with our veterans and our history.
Hello, my name is Steve Gonzalez, Vice President of Marketing Community Relations with Alpha One Drop Zone. And also today we have our videographer Sharon Gaylord, and we have a special guest, an awesome person. Her name is Katie Conkling. Katie is a World War II veteran. She served out with the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps and also with the Women's Army Corps. So first of all, Katie, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I guess we could go back and before World War II, with the bombing of Pearl Harbor, can you tell us where you were during that time, what you were doing?
Well, I was working with the Carnation Milk Company in Wisconsin, and because there weren't any jobs in Kansas, so I went to Wisconsin. I got a job and stuff. But my cousins and I had gone up, spent the weekend at my aunt and uncle's house because my other cousin was in the military and Preston was going to be home. And when we got to Milwaukee, as he was going back to base and we were going back to Oconomowoc, which is another town in Wisconsin, the SP came up to him and asked him where he was stationed. And he says, told him where it was in Chicago, near Chicago and stuff. So, and he says, you have all the leaves have been canceled. You have to report to your base immediately. Do not leave the bus station unless you're on the bus going back to the base. And we didn't know why. And so we all wondered, something must have happened, that they were all being returned to base. And so that evening on the radio, that's when the president came over and made his little spiel. This day will live in infamy.
Right, the famous words, right?
Oh yeah, his famous words.
Right.
And that's when you heard what happened.
Mm-hmm. So, at that time, were you thinking about serving in the military? That crossed your mind yet, or?
Oh no, we just wanted to see Preston, because he was at Fort Sheridan and stuff. So he was there, and I had a half brother that was also in the military and stuff. So that made it nice, and we liked that. And of course, Preston always wrote well. My father died when I was a year old, so I didn't have the father figure, but I did have my uncle and stuff. So his kids, we were really together a lot.
So your first association with World War II was with the WAAC, right?
Well, in Congress, they decided after Pearl Harbor, one of the legislators in Congress decided women can do something. Why don't we use them? And what can we do? What can they do? And so they had to figure out, well, how do we find out? So they had an ad in the paper. And it's because they wanted to find out what women could do to help in the war service. So they decided to have a weekend in Milwaukee. They had this all over the states in different areas because this was in the Great Lakes area. And so we spent 3 days in Milwaukee, and they gave us all kinds of IQ tests, aptitude tests, and gave us a physical, talked to a psychiatrist. No, we weren't off our bags and stuff. And the FBI looked us up. We had a good record and such. And so we were there for 3 days. And so on the Sunday when we finished, he read off the names of some of them and said, you can go home. And so, but we're going to keep in touch with you. We like what you have to offer. And after we sat there for a while, we were wondering what he was going to say. He was standing up there in front, and pretty soon he kind of giggled and said, could we swear you in today? And then we all giggled and said, sure. That was September the 18th, 1942, 9 months after Pearl Harbor.
Wow. So the WAAC went on to, it was changed to the Women's Army Corps, right? Automatic was that automatically after that?
Well, it didn't really change, because the Army is the only one that had Women's Army Corps and stuff, so they were all complaining, well, what about us? So Congress went back into session in that summer and decided, yes, then the others wanted it, so they all got into cahoots, so that we didn't get a discharge from the WAAC, we got a statement that says, for the convenience of the government, it was discontinued.
Okay.
And so then we got another piece of paper, we were sworn in for the duration of the hostilities.
Okay, so basically, Katie, with the WAAC, you were a civilian working with the Army, or for the Army, is that correct?
No, we weren't a civilian, we were military, but we were only military in our group.
Okay, I got you.
See, and when we were on duty, we wore uniforms.
Okay,
When we were off duty, we wore civilian clothes.
okay,
We had no authority, if we were on an air base, we had no authority on regular GIs.
so where were you deployed during your time in the?
Well, my first station, we were to open Orlando Air Base, but they didn't have our facilities ready. And so they sent us to Miami, and we worked with the Aircraft Warning Service on the night shift. We took over their graveyard shift to give them relief and stuff. So we did that until our facilities were ready for us to go to Orlando. So we were deployed to Orlando. They had our facilities ready for us.
Did you spend any time overseas?
Yes, but that was after we went into the regular Army. We only were in, by the time we got out of Miami to Orlando, they had just changed it after we got to Orlando. So then we also were in a group, and they re-swore us in to the regular Army. So from then on, we could not wear civilian clothes.
Did you meet other women, nurses, and other people from other wars and so forth, I mean, that were serving in the military overseas?
No.
So how did this affect you, the war? How did it change your life?
Well, I knew they had a place for me because when they gave us our tests and all of that, they were really finding out the broadness of what we knew and how much we knew. And so they already had us assigned, and because we had our basic at Fort Des Moines under the cavalry officers, all they did there, they didn't have to teach us anything except regulations and how to properly wear the uniform and stuff. So, and then a little bit of drill, because we were only there, I think, a couple of weeks, and then we were on a trip ship. We were going someplace. Well, we ended up in Miami, and that's why when we were there until our facilities were open at Orlando, why they just put us on the top floor of a little hotel in Miami where we could walk to do our little night duty with the Aircraft Warning Service.
I remember one time you and I were visiting, Katie, and you had mentioned about doing some paperwork, opening pouches and things like that while you were in the military.
Oh, yes. Well, that I knew what they wanted us for. The idea, we were to replace men for active duty. So I know whatever that we had. Because when I was in Orlando, then the captain called me in and says, Katie, we have a request for your background and what your ability is. And in California, they're setting up a new station, a new company in California, and they want you for a position. And so, do you want to go or do you want to stay here? Oh, so I'll sure I'll go. And so then we were sent to Fairfield Susan, and there we kind of got an idea of what we were going to do, because every girl there had a specialty. I had a specialty because mine was that I was an administrative specialist. I could do anything in an office. And that's what I did at Orlando. And I was CAD ready there. I wasn't put into an office except for my officer. If she wanted something done, Katie, I think we need to have something, could you do that? And I said, yes, ma'am. And I would just do it.
You know, by having you women serve the military, serve our country, that allowed the men, you know, to go out and do other things, lead the administrative jobs and other that, and then have you fill in those positions. So that made a big difference.
When I got sent to California, we were for a specialty company being set up strictly for a purpose. We found out later, because when I got there, everybody was sent to the office where they were going to end up being when we got wherever we were going. And so I was sent to the U.S. Post Office. So and then I was to report to the postmaster, and I reported to him. He says, I don't know what kind of a position you're going to have. It's going to have something to do with postal system. So I will teach you everything about the U.S. Postal Service and the Army Postal Services, because you're going to be put in one of those positions. So we went through everything with him. Then I went through, he taught me all the rules and regulations, and then I worked with his officer under him, and then all the rest of it. We could do it. We sat in every position that they had in the post office, and then including the APO system, how they merged together. The rule is the same for both, because it's postal, it's private, it's taken care of. Nobody gets mail that isn't theirs and stuff, so we do that. So I knew, I'm going to be in some kind of a postal system something, so I knew that. So when I went to, we got on a bus, yes. We went to the dock and got on the ship. We were on the Smithsonian, and we were on there were CBs and Red Cross gals. We didn't know where we were going. We were kind of betting, maybe we're going to Alaska. And we had our winter uniforms on, because we didn't have khakis at that time. And so we were on board, so we wore fatigues on board and our life preserver and stuff. So we didn't know where we were going. Not until we pulled into the dock at Aloha Tower in Hawaii. And so we were the first group of women in the Pacific. So then they took us on by buses to Hickam Field. So, well, that's nice. We're right close to Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor and Hickam Field have a fence and an inlet dividing the two of them. So we were there. And so then I was sent to an office. Yeah. And so I was to report to this sergeant that was in charge of that postal unit. And then I figured out, I'm going to replace him. He was top non-com. And so I knew, because I was getting my grade as fast as I had time in service and stuff, because like in Miami, I made PFC before Thanksgiving, and everybody's, what's that for? I said, I don't know. They just says I'm appointed to PFC. Mm-hmm. And so
I noticed a picture here of some of your medals that you received. Can we get a close-up on this, Sharon? Can you explain, first of all, the patch there on the left? What rank is that?
This is the staff sergeant.
You were a staff sergeant?
That was my highest rank. I was a non-commissioned officer. That was a first degree grader. If it only has that, that's a sergeant.
Okay.
And I got my rank as fast as I did. I got this the day that I took over the other guy's job. I got my rocker, and then he got his orders to leave.
Oh, wow.
I took over his position. Then I became top non-com of APO 953, which was Headquarters Air Transport Command Pacific.
Great. Katie, these medals here, can you explain those medals?
The Good Conduct Medal, practically all GIs get that if they do their work properly.
Okay.
And you can get one of those every year. I have two. I got one when I was WAAC, and then after we were in Hawaii too, I got another one and stuff. So this is the Asiatic Pacific ribbon that I was in the Pacific Theater and stuff. And this is the Victory Medal that was issued after the war. And then we were discharged. This is what everybody referred to as the ruptured duck.
Yes.
We always laughed
I've
about.
heard about that, yeah.
This is the one thing that when my medals and things were stolen, they didn't get it because I wear that a lot. I still wear it and stuff. So that's the only thing I had. This designates here, this was off of my sleeve. This is Army Air Corps, and that was my rank. And on my bottom of my sleeve, these are my overseas bars, a bar for every 6 months. So that was a year and a half. And the WAAC, to designate those of us that had rank in the WAAC, we sewed that right here underneath our sleeve because the GIs that were regular Army, they knew that we had no authority on them.
Okay.
But see, that only lasted 1 year. We proved, yes, we knew how to do something, we did. And so then all the other services, Army Air Corps is the only one that had us. And then the Marines wanted us, and the Navy wanted us. And so we were nothing. In less than a year, they did that. And then they just had the little piece of paper that said, we were nothing for 1 day. It says, piece of paper said, for the convenience of the government, the WAAC was discontinued. And then we were nothing for 1 day, and then the next day, the notification, we were sworn in for the duration of the hostilities, plus or minus 6 months, at the discretion of the president.
Well, Katie, you've had quite a time span, with the WAAC and the WAC, and it's just great to have you here. You're an awesome person, and do you mind me sharing your age with everybody? Do you mind me saying
I'm 95.
95.
I'll be 96 in
It's
January.
amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I keep busy doing something, and this is it. I don't sit still. Everybody wants to give me a chair, and no, I'm not
So-
decrepit. Brain still works, but still moves.
Well, great. Well, it's nice having you here today, and I really appreciate the relationship that you and I have, and once again, thank you for your service, and God bless you, Katie, very, very
Well,
much.
thank you.